Dad we came from Sweden when he was 9 years old with his little sister, and mother and dad uh, were married in, I think, Lansing, Michigan. That's where my mother was born. My mother was also Swedish, and he lived in a sod house at first, and then he uh, farmed in Holdrege, Nebraska for years, and they finally had a farm sale and sold everything, moved out to Harper, Washington, because that was where my older sister Phoebe lived, and we lived on only about a block from the little two-room schoolhouse where Irene, my sister Irene, and I went to school. And Dad had a mustache, and I don't think he went to a dentist all the days of his life. That way he could cover his teeth if there were those that were decayed. Then nobody know the difference. But he evidently didn't have the nerve to go to a dentist or didn't want to. But he was a great guy, a large man, and one time he went along the road and some people were working and he said, "You do this or you do that." And they thought he was a foreman, and they said, "Yes, sir, yes, sir." And that tickled him, of course. And then, but one time when I was in the 8th grade, I can't remember my dad ever giving me a spanking, but I he heard that I was a ringleader when there was a lady. Uh-oh.
Keep talking.
A lady used to, one of the teachers had a rubber hose that she had twined around her hand, and she'd say that she'd whip us with that if we didn't behave ourselves in school. And she did whip one of the girls pretty badly, and so one of the girls decided that we'd go and tell the school officials about it. And my dad thought that I was a ringleader, and when I was in the 8th grade, he came there and grabbed me out of the line. And Dad was already getting pretty old by that time because he was 40 when he married Mother, and Mother didn't have me until she was in her late 40s. And I was dancing around to get away from him. Well, that night I didn't come home because I was embarrassed of what happened, and so it frightened Mother and Dad. And when I did come home, he found out I wasn't the ringleader after all, and so he gave us around a quarter or something like that for each one of us, my sister and I, to go to the show that night. And I wondered why he didn't go to church very often, and now as I got older, I realized that we didn't have a car out there, and he had a long ways to walk, and he wasn't that young anymore. My dad figured that if anybody shook hands with him on this something, it was binding, and he trusted everybody too much. One time a man came out to the house and he had sparkly rocks from he said it was from a mine, and it was gold in there, and I remember my mama crying, asking him not to sign up, but he did sign up for a stock in this mine company, and he lost his shirt over it. And then he did get money one time from a grain elevator, but that was enough to make him want to try for more. But he trusted people, and he was good at giving people money for. I remember we had the Grange Hall out there, and he is the one that gave them money for the Grange Hall. And we lived in a house in those days that had electricity, but it was just a pull chain and an indoor bathroom, which was rather unusual in that day and age. So I didn't have it too bad when I was a kid, except that Dad did lose his money with later on. They had a bank crash with the, what was it?
Stock market?
Not the stock market, no. It was
Savings and loan?
Savings and loan, that's right. My mother had money in one of them, and my dad had money in the other, and when they lost all of it, and so after that happened, that's one reason that I went into, and when I was, after I got through with high school, I mean with grade school, and worked my way in school and earned money so I could send money to mom and dad once a month. I didn't get very much myself. When I did get a job, it was only uh, about, I had $18.50 a week with vacations with pay, but I managed to send them at least $10 or $20 a month, and I had a happy life when I was a kid.